Well, the attorney for the indicted former police chief of Uvalde schools continued a pattern of deflection and denial. Good evening, I'm Hannah Battah. Former Chief Pete Arredondo is charged with child endangerment, but he's downplayed his role in the school's mass shooting. Fox 4's Stephen Dial joins us live with more on what Arredondo's lawyer said today. Stephen.
His lawyer had a lot to say and answered multiple questions from reporters. In short, basically he says that his client should not be criminally liable, but says that he could be civilly liable.
It's tragic to try to cleanse the situation on the backs of somebody who did his dead level best, as Pete Arredondo did.
That statement alone gives you an idea of how Pete Arredondo's attorney plans to defend his client in court. Paul Looney took questions from the media a day after CNN aired its interview with the former school district police chief. Arredondo believes he should not be the fall guy for the massive failure by law enforcement, and his attorney repeated that position.
I'm not defending every decision he makes. He doesn't defend every decision he made. What I am saying is that there is no theory under law where this man had criminal liability. Civil liability, maybe, maybe not. But criminal liability, no way.
Arredondo was in the first group of officers on scene. When they took fire from the gunman, they retreated. It wasn't until almost an hour later until law enforcement moved in, killing the shooter. The Justice Department slammed the response and noted the top priority is always to stop the active shooter first, even if that puts officers in danger. Arredondo and Adrian Gonzalez were both indicted in July on multiple counts of child endangerment. They are the only two law enforcement officers charged so far.
Let our children die. That is a slap in the face.
Brett Cross lost his son Uzziah Garcia in the shooting. He took to social media to respond to Arredondo's statement that he avoids watching police video from inside the school.
I have watched every single piece of footage that I possibly can, because that is my son's last moments. So hard for you. You're not the one that wakes up every morning wishing that they didn't wake up, because the pain is that hard.
Looney said Arredondo thought because he was one of the first responders to the shooting, someone else would set up a command station. That did not happen.
No, he did not. And is that a failure? Maybe in some manner it is. But remember, he's not there as a chief. In that particular instance, he's there as a first responder.
As for what happens next,
we have to make several different decisions. One of the decisions I have to make is whether or not to file for a change of venue in this case.
as of right now, that case is set to happen in Uvalde County. The lawyer gave no timeline on how soon he may start filing these motions, but he says that his client has a right to a speedy trial.
All right, Stephen Dial, thank you.